Now, Escano, welcome to Seneca Radio. I'm Louis Snyder, and today I'm joined by Robert Porter. Hello, Rob.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming. Rob is Seneca. He's a lawyer. He's also a former Seneca Nation president. And today he's here to shed some light on what's going on with the gaming compact and the compact payment. So, Rob, for those people that are unfamiliar, what exactly is the compact?
So, the Gaming Compact is an agreement between the Seneca Nation and the state of New York. It's an agreement that's required under federal law under the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act in order to conduct what's called Class 3 gaming, which we think of as casino-style gaming and slot machines.
Okay. And that was it's like a bunch of terms agreed upon too by New York State and the Seneca Nation, right?
Correct.
What year was this compact actually started?
2002. It was negotiated and it was voted on by the council, and it was also approved by referendum by a vote of the Seneca people.
Okay. And a portion of the slots is supposed to go to New York State, right?
So 25% of really what they call the net drop, which is the amount of money generated by the slot machines before expenses, is paid over to the state. And then 25% of that amount, or 6.25%, is paid to the local governments that are called host communities.
Okay. I actually remember something in like 2007, 2008, there was an issue.
There was. Yeah, I was legal counsel for the nation at the time. And the problem then was there were a couple of problems. There are three state licensed gaming facilities at the horse tracks that are in our exclusivity zone. And they started branding them as casinos and running games that were really competing in violation of our compact. And that's what we called them out on, and we stopped paying.
Absolutely. And I was saying back then, we should just stop the compact. They were already breaking it, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, but you were right. Yeah. And we nation officials agreed, and eventually it got up to almost, I think it was over $500 million was being held back, and it got resolved in 2013.
Okay, and so what's going on today? There was money that was in escrow, and that was from the payments.
So what's happening today is that the compact expired at the end of 2016, and it provided it could renew automatically for 7 more years. And that provision of the compact was totally silent on whether the nation had to make any additional payments to the state for revenue sharing.
Right.
And the nation officials took the position, well, we paid them for 14 years. We're entitled to 21 years. We're not paying any more money. It's silent.
Right. And then that leads us to what happened earlier this year, where the Seneca Nation president and council authorized a payment to New York State, that money that was in escrow.
That's right. There was an arbitration, which is a private style dispute resolution mechanism that was baked into the compact, and that went against the nation by a 2-1 decision. And then there was some court action to challenge the arbitration, and that also didn't succeed. But what did happen was that last year, the federal government opened an investigation into whether the payments were lawful, again, because the contract had never been provided with any terms. And so, surprisingly, the nation president, and with some support from officials, signed a settlement agreement to essentially quit the fight and give up over $500 million in escrow, and agree to resume total payments through the end of 2023 of over $800 million.
Right. And when they did that, it actually created sort of a public outcry. A lot of people were upset that the Seneca people weren't, at least notified about this. They kind of just brought it up.
You're exactly right. I mean, I was one of them, but there were many, many, many people who a decision of this magnitude traditionally would be subject to public discussion, notice of what the government officials were doing. And ultimately, we would agree as a nation about whether a magnitude a decision like this would be approved or not. And the mothers of the Seneca Nation stepped forward, which is the mothers are a constitutional, kind of like a fourth branch of our government that has been
Yeah,
dormant, but have a really important role during tough times and big issues.
absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to give a big shout out to the Mothers Nation too, because they're kind of behind the driving force of this. I think this.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I've never seen it mobilized like this from the mothers and the women of the nation. And I think they've really done an important service for us all.
So what's happening now? They're going back. They stopped the payment, right? They're
So in February, the mothers and many other Seneca men and members of the community stepped forward at the council meeting. And, the council and the president were all, except for a few of them, really dedicated to making that payment and approving that
right,
agreement. And it was still a surprise, even after big public meetings of resistance and objection to that strategy. They went ahead and they approved it, but the mothers advocated vigorously and really helped turn the tide. And eventually the council amended its resolution and said that no payments would be made until the federal government completed its investigation.
um, why is it so important? I mean, I know, but why do we have to? Why are we stopping this? Why fight this?
Couple of things, I think. One is the obvious magnitude of the money we're talking about, that
Right.
over $800 million could really change our nation and provide
Yeah,
economic
absolutely.
security in ways that if we had that resource, it would be unbelievable. I think, secondly, the process, the fairness of the people being involved in a big decision is very upsetting. And I think we all are on the same page of knowing how important those gaming businesses are. But
Right.
we have 2 years almost before the current compact expires. And I just don't believe, just from my own professional experience, that we're at any kind of risk. There's been some bad information, I think, shared with the government officials about the risk of closing our facility or that we don't have enough time. We have plenty of time. And
Right.
and if we're going to be tough and get a good deal, we're going to have to dig in as a nation to fight off the state.
Um, some of the executives were saying that they wanted to just pay this so that they could have a better negotiating power for making the new compact.
I completely disagree with that. It makes zero sense to me how you would give up the fight over one major issue in the hopes that your adversary would be kinder and gentler to you over your next big battle.
Right.
And New York State,
Absolutely.
for 400 years, has been a bully.
Right.
And I'm a little concerned that maybe too many in our nation or our officials don't even know our own history, whether it be fighting over the tax issues over the last couple of decades, the gaming issues alone.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
it's a little bit, not a little bit, it's a lot surprising that kind of thinking has been occurring.
So what is okay, best case scenario, we get all the money back. What would be the worst case scenario?
Well, let's be clear about the best case scenario. And I don't want to make it sound like this is all easy and it's all going to
Right.
work out, but there are certainly very strong conceptual arguments. If the Interior Department, which has to review the compacts, never reviewed the 7-year extension period, how on earth could any payments be authorized?
Right.
That's the sort of where I start with it. And even if we prevail and we have a clean sweep, validation, I wouldn't be surprised if the state brought its own lawsuit against the feds
Yeah.
and jam this thing up in a way that would keep us from. But we certainly would have some real leverage at that point. And that's, I guess, what I think is most valuable. Worst case scenario is the federal government doesn't back us up, and concludes that we should make the payment. Then again, I think we seriously have to look at whether the federal government's making a mistake. And my
Yeah.
view would be we should sue the United States for a breach of trust of a violation of federal law if in fact that's what they're doing. So it's a matter of continuing to exhaust every rational and reasonable avenue to protect our nation and our people. And I think there's plenty of tools on the table to be able to use for that.
Absolutely, Rob. If people want to get a hold of you, they can hit you up on Facebook. I know you're on Facebook
I've
and
tried. I'm
whatever. Yeah.
a huge social media guy, and I really appreciate your tolerance of having me on your show. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way. Send me a direct message, and I can reach out. I'm
Okay.
trying to just help share information. I certainly have my own views about it, but over the years, I think my best work is when I'm just sharing information, and people can draw their own conclusions.
All right. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing, what you know, and thanks for fighting. I believe that this is just one battle, in a long series that we've been in. Right.
Mhm. Louis, I thank you very much, and glad to have the chance, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Definitely. Thanks.
Have a good day.
Yep.